We are now joined by Kacy Garvey, founder, managing director of JICU, and poet to discuss Media and Information Literacy Week. Good morning to you, Kacy. Good morning. Ms. Garvey?
Hello, are you hearing me okay?
Yes, I'm now hearing you.
Okay, my apologies, yes. Good morning, and thank you so much for having me.
And we're also joined by Jonathan McLaughlin.
Yes.
Good
morning.
Yes, good morning to you. So we're talking about, let's start with you, Kacy. We're talking about this new thing. I believe it is for most of our listeners will be hearing about it for the very first time. What is it that we're talking about in terms of Media and Information Literacy Week?
We want to turn our attention to how we consume media. Jamaica, like the rest of the Caribbean, we are net consumers of digital content instead of net creators, so we take in more than we give out generally. And so it's very important for us to reflect on what we're taking in, why we're taking it in, even the conscious and subconscious decisions that we make when it comes to the sources of the media that we are consuming. So I think it's a really great time to pause and think. You know, a lot of times we tend to just focus on fake news or things of that sort. But just generally, when it comes to media and information and the veracity of that information, what are we doing to test that, to make sure that whatever we're thinking about and whatever we are allowing to shape our taste and some of our even business decisions going forward, we want to make sure that those are good sources and are getting us in the direction that we want to go as a society.
And what are the plans, if any, for the week under this theme of new digital frontiers of information, media and information literacy for public interest information? Should we also break down what all of that means?
When it says for let me start with the first, because there's a whole lot in there. When it comes to media and information literacy, JICU's plans, and we are convening and hosting a panel discussion next week under our sub theme of under all of that is themes and memes, and we're looking at how social media shapes art and audience. So JICU is a newly minted foundation. It is dedicated to the poetry community and empowering poets to operate profitably and sustainably. And so we're very passionate about orality and cultural expression. So we are gathering experts in various artistic fields, filmmaking, poetry, storytelling, and also just academia to talk about the impact of social media when it comes to how we even produce these various art forms, and then how we distribute the art that is produced to other people. So we're looking forward to seeing how art, as it interfaces with social media, how art even contributes to things like public information. When something is done artistically, it's more attractive and it's more readily consumed and distributed. So even as filmmakers, as poets, as storytellers, when we do a video on TikTok, when we do an Instagram post, depending on the number of followers we have, or if you're an influencer or not, you can literally shape public information with just your expression of your art. So we're going to be taking a look at that.
And let me bring in Jonathan now. He wears many hats, director, actor, etc. One of the buzzwords now is creatives. I think you would also probably identify, you can tell me yourself as one of those. What does this week mean for you, for example, as a creative, and for creatives to be recognized or to have this structure?
Okay, this week opens a lot of opportunity for us as creatives, moving into and try to capitalize on the social media platform. A lot of times as creatives, normally, especially like theater major people, we tend to depend mostly on interaction in person. But this week allows us to also look into how we can now immerse technology into our platform, into our content, and make it easily accessible on a global scale. I believe it opens a lot of opportunities for collaboration and discussions on different content that we share. For example, my students that I teach performing arts in the capacity of arts in business, cinematic art, and theater art. And one of the main things that I'm trying to allow them now to do is to look into how they can utilize the media, because the media is one of our first source of information. Because if you look in today's generation, they most likely look to social media to produce the latest updates on anything. So now I'm trying to incorporate how can my students now utilize that accessibility, create new content, push out information that might take a longer time if we were supposed to use posters and so forth. And even to incorporate AI information and how the AI can now also improve our work or help or aid.
I'm happy to hear that you teach, and I want to ask you now, social media is a big thing, it's a buzzword, we all know about it, largely speaking, but I'm not sure, and this is for both of you, I'll probably come back to Kacy as well. I know, for example, we have some content creators in Jamaica, and they earn from it, but in terms of an industry, are we as a people largely just consumers, or are we really trying to build an industry where we are actually creating and we are specifically targeting certain output that we're trying to create?
For me, I feel we're a society of consumers, but we are also openly ready to be able to become producers of this information and capitalize on the accessibility, the opportunity that social media can provide for us. I think it's a case in where we as educators, as persons who can inform people in society about how social media can make us produce income, can become greater in the sense of the access that we provide our content to our audience and reach a massive scale. But it just needs information given, and that's one of the main things that I think we need to capitalize on as a nation. The idea of how can we now educate our population into now understanding the opportunities that social media presents for us and capitalize on that margin.
And that's the point. Let me bring back Kacy there. The point about education, for example, letting people understand while social media as a consumer, for example, you're easily access and you could switch over to just being a content creator. But where's the education in terms of allowing people to really understand the business nature of it?
I think that, I fully agree with my colleague that we definitely need more education on that. I think there's a need for digitization. So Jamaicans tend to naturally be entrepreneurs or very entrepreneurial. So we'll come up with the idea, but then you have to know the different tools available to you in order to execute that. And so I really applaud all the efforts that are being made to infuse the creative sector with more strategies for innovation, for understanding that what you see on a TikTok video is not just someone sitting in front of their camera. They'll have lighting, they'll have, sound equipment. They will know how to manipulate algorithms to give their content more traction. So there really is a need for that level of strategy, and not just marketing, but brand development, So I'd say that those are two big areas. Brand development, social media marketing, and digitization when it comes to your tools of trade. Yeah.
And as we talk about marketing, for example, a lot of the content on social media in terms of popularity is sort of, so an idea comes up, someone produces it, it gets a lot of likes, it becomes a hit, and then someone also now, another content creator does a spin-off of it. I'm putting this in the context, for example, of loosely cultural appropriation, in the sense that, for example, we have a lot of content generated, for example, to say, for example, things surrounding Jamaica. How you grow up, or Jamaican food, or that sort of thing. Is there also a space for us to own and properly manage that sort of space as well in terms of social media and digital frontiers?
Well, I don't want to jump in twice, but I'd say absolutely.
Go ahead, Kacy.
Yes, Brand Jamaica is robust, and it is far more far-reaching than we realize. So I think there's definitely a lot of room for that. And just to bring it back to, my sphere of influence, so to speak, when it comes to poets and other orators, there's a lot more that can be done to leverage Brand Jamaica, because there are people, even outside of the diaspora, because we tend to play it safe and stay home, so to speak, first. But far outside the diaspora, as far as even Asian and African, consumers of digital content, just by knowing that someone is from Jamaica, you already have an advantage and you're already getting their attention. So it's just leveraging that interest in our country that so the individual artists don't even have to create. They can just build on what's already there.
You want to comment on that, Jonathan?
Yes, definitely. In a space where we capitalize mainly on certain things like trends, and trends is not something bad, it's something that opens you to be able to get easy access, a wider audience, or capture a good niche that's already established. But we can also understand that although most art is original, some art can be created based off what was already created and become significant to the new onlook or perspective of what it is. So to become trendsetter and also to follow trends to capitalize on it is also something great that I think we as young people can capitalize on. And also one of the main things that we have to try to get is brand. Brand is one of the main things. As long as you establish your brand, your business can start from there and build a foundation.
All right. We're going to take a break now, and then we come back to continue the discussion. We're speaking with Kacy Garvey, founder and managing director of JICU, as well as Jonathan McLaughlin, director, actor, and a creative. Stay with us right here on The Morning Agenda.